The only thing that we're interested in is putting money in your wallet. If you want to bet the fights, if you want to have a little bit of action, you are in the right place. With my partner, Ian Parker, I am Brett Okamoto.
We're ready to rock between our parlays, our props, our straight picks. It's time to make money. Let's go.
That is Co-op Live Arena in lovely Manchester, England, where the UFC sets down for the first time since 2016. And what a card they have to do it, because two of the champions, the two headliners, are both from England. Leon Edwards, Tom Aspinall. We are here to talk about it, as always, on UFC Best Bets from a gambling perspective. Hello, everybody. Welcome into the studio in Bristol, Connecticut. I did not make the flight over to Manchester, England, but of course we are watching very closely. Ian from his home in Florida. Everybody has stepped on the scales, and we are going to be talking about these fights in detail, giving you all of the props, the parlays, everything you've come to expect from this show. But before we do, we will look back at last weekend inside the Apex. Ian, we've been hot this summer. How did we do last week in Las Vegas?
Our best bets fell just short, 2 out of 2 and 3. However, we made it up with our parlay that we hit at plus odds, and we hit all of our Parker's props, which were both at plus odds. Made up for it, so overall, profitable in the evening. But Brett, you know I love a good pay-per-view. We're in England. Let's go.
Yeah, man, love when you're hitting the parlays, love when you're hitting the props. That very, very much adds to our bottom line, of course. And we're going to look to do so again in Manchester, England, UFC 304. We'll take a look at the main card. You can find it at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific on ESPN+. As I mentioned, Leon Edwards taking on Belal Muhammad and Tom Aspinall, Curtis Blades, two champions from England. One of them a welterweight, one of them is the interim heavyweight champ. Then you got King Green, formerly known as Bobby Green, taking on Paddy Pimblett in a fight that is currently sitting at essentially a pick'em. And Christian Leroy Duncan taking on Gregory Rodriguez. And Arnold Allen, Giga Chikadze, which is a heck of a fight to start off this 5-fight main card. And it is a very, very interesting card just from the sense of we are looking at two fights that have rematches of fights that already took place. And both had very, very odd endings. Leon Edwards and Belal Muhammad ending in the second round. The result was a no contest due to an eye poke, and then Blades and Aspinall, I think most of you obviously will remember, it's the only loss of Tom Aspinall's UFC career. 15 seconds in, the knee goes out, and he had to work very, very hard to get back. So we're going to talk about all of these fights that I just mentioned on the main card and the prelims. We'll start with the main event, though. Leon Edwards taking on Belal Muhammad. I kind of thought that the odds would be slightly higher for Leon Edwards, Ian. It's just, it's in England, and the guy has just lived up to that saying where once you become a champion, you just become that much better. And I think just from a mental standpoint, he's extremely confident. I would almost ask you if he's overconfident going into this rematch against Belal Muhammad. What did you think of the odds that currently sit at minus 250 for Leon Edwards?
I don't disagree with you. I thought Leon was going to be a little bit higher because of the champ status, successful title defenses. But Brett, here's what I will tell you. What I've observed is that his opponents who he fought the second time around, Kamaru Usman, did not look like his normal self, and Colby Covington didn't even wrestle for the first 4 rounds. Now, that doesn't say that Leon's lesser of a fighter. He didn't finish them. He did what he needed to do to get a win. He's fighting someone in Belal Muhammad. Yes, he has fought him before, but Belal is nowhere near that same fighter. He's improved in his striking. People want to say he's boring. He finished Sean Brady. He beat Gilbert Burns, both guys coming off the couch. And he has gotten better. On top of that, we know what Belal brings to the table. He brings that fast pace, that cardio, that wrestling, smothering style that if he can close the distance and can avoid the striking of Leon Edwards, he can make this very competitive. Edwards is a very high Q level fighter. He knows what Belal's going to try to do, but the question is, he may know it, can he stop it? And can he stop it over the course of 5 rounds? I think the fight is going to be competitive. When I spoke to Belal, he said, did you see when Khabib fought Barboza? Think of that when I get into that cage. So, Brett, I'm not picking either side because the line for me is too high on Leon to go money line. Belal hasn't fought in a while, and this is a rivalry matchup. For me, I like over 4.5 rounds here. If you want to get a better number, go all 5. I don't see anyone getting the finish here. I think this is going to go to a decision.
All right, look at Ian giving us a little bit of, I wouldn't say insider info, but there's a little personal info there from Belal Muhammad saying he's going to wrestle, which I don't think is that big of a surprise, though. I mean, the work that he's done with Khabib and his camp coming in, the striking was not going in his favor, even though it was a short notice fight last time. So I do expect to see some wrestling, so I do like this pick of over 4.5, even at the sort of juiced odds at minus 210. Let's go to the co-main event. It's an interim heavyweight championship fight between Tom Aspinall, Curtis Blades. We've seen it before. I mean, do you take anything away from the 15 seconds we saw, and what do you think about this line?
I don't think you really can. 15 seconds doesn't say much. Tom Aspinall blew his knee out, and then since then he's been knocking everybody out. Curtis Blades in his last fight against Jailton Almeida, he got out wrestled for the whole first round. He was getting dominated position-wise, and then he landed those punches when Almeida gassed out. That's not happening against Tom Aspinall. Aspinall, if he takes Blades down, he will finish him. On the feet, he's going to finish him. That number at -180, Brett, by TK or KO, I think is extremely generous. We're going to go there. I really believe this is one of my favorite plays of the year, I think. And if you want to take him to win inside the distance, throw that in a parlay. I think Aspinall is the future in this sport with the heavyweight division. To me, he's just such a complete fighter. The last guy to be this skilled, I think all round, besides obviously John Jones, was Cain Velasquez. I think Aspinall's that guy. Unless Blades can surprise us and land a shot, I don't think he's out wrestling Tom here. So we're going Aspinall to win by TKO or KO at -180.
One of his favorite picks of the year, dude. I love that. Because if you know anything about Ian Parker, man, this guy has confidence in all of his picks. So to say that this is the confidence of the confident picks, lot of belief in Tom Aspinall getting the job done there at home. Let's look at the rest of this main card. I want to talk about King Green and Paddy Pimblett. This is a great matchup, great story. I think that the UFC put together for us, and it looks like an even fight is what the odds makers are saying. You like Bobby Green, King Green.
I do here, Bobby King, whatever you want to call him at this point. Listen, against Jim Miller, we saw Bobby was pushed to the limit. King, I apologize. Don't tell him I called him Bobby. With Paddy Pimblett, we know what to expect here. He's going to try to wrestle, try to use his jiu-jitsu. He's been rocked in almost all of his fights. If he can't get King Green down, King Green's going to light him up. I'm going with King Green.
And as always with these cards, it's England versus the rest of the world. And in this one is Christian Leroy Duncan taking on Gregory Rodriguez. What do you think about this matchup?
This fight's flying under the radar. I love both guys. You know I'm a big RoboCop fan, and Christian Leroy Duncan looked very good in his last fight, but against someone not even close to the skill-wise of Rodriguez. Brett, I believe this fight goes over 1.5 rounds. I think Duncan's going to be fending off takedowns from Rodriguez, while Rodriguez is going to stay away from the striking. Let's go over 1.5 there.
And a fight that could have big implications at 145. Arnold Allen taking on Giga Chikadze. Chikadze plus 185, so pretty sizable underdog, but you still like Arnold Allen here.
This is as high as I'm going. I like AA here. I think striking-wise, he's got the power. The wrestling is going to be a huge advantage. I expect him to do that. We haven't seen Giga fight in quite some time. Give me Arnold Allen. I'm going to lay the juice at -225 here.
All right, laying a little bit of juice there on Arnold Allen and Giga Chikadze's first fight back in a little while. Those are your main card picks. Very, very exciting, intriguing main card. But we got prelims to talk about. Run us through your 304 prelim picks, as always, over there in the middle of the night in England. Normal time back here in the States.
Let's go. Nathaniel Wood and Pineda. I'm going over 1.5 rounds here. Both guys very durable. Wood is someone who takes his time, and Pineda is just a dog. Molly McCann, give me inside the distance at plus 150 at home. I think she's going to bring the heat against Bruna Brazil. Hadley versus Loughran, fight to go the distance. Modestas Bukauskas versus Marcin Prachnio, over 2.5 rounds. Let's go Preston Parsons, that wrestling, that pace. I think Oban Elliott's going to have a lot of trouble with the scrambles. Makayev and Mikhail Kapp, this fight's going to be fireworks. They hate each other, over 2.5 rounds. Sam Patterson is -450. We're going to take him by sub. Our long shot prop of the night, Brett, we're going to go. We've done this now 3 different times. Makayev, round 3 sub. Look at that number. It is wild because he's done it every single time. Now we're going to go back down to Mick Parkin versus Lukas Bresky. I'm going Parkin here, -370, as you know, a little high. We're going to probably take him by decision or throw him in a parlay. And last but not least, Shauna Bannon versus Elise Ardeline. Bannon should be -200 here. Her opponent, last time she fought was against someone who was 0-4. Before that, 1-6. And before that, 0-3. Bannon's going to win that fight.
Yeah, that is a very tantalizing 20-1 prop on a third-round submission for Muhammad Makayev. You know he's going to be wanting to look for that finish to secure up his title shot. And as you mentioned, because of the bad blood between the two. So there's your long shot prop. But what about the rest of the props of the night, which have been pretty successful for us since we brought them in?
We've been having a lot of fun with these props. I'm going to keep this going this week. We are going to start off Mick Parkin to win by decision. We're getting good odds here at +110. So far, every fight he's had in the UFC has gone to decision. His opponent was finished one time, otherwise also decision. Aspinall, we mentioned it earlier, by KO or TKO, -180. King Green, double method of victory to win by TKO, KO, or decision. Let's go.
All right, so there you go. Those odds via ESPN Bet. Those are your Parker's props for UFC 304. Let's get to the long shot parlay. Where are we going with the long shot at UFC 304?
Well, Brett, at UFC 303, if you hedged, we got to the main event here. I think this one, I'm actually very confident in this one. Mick Parkin by decision, Sam Patterson by sub, and King Green on the money line. Three-legger, boosted parlay. If you take out ESPN Bet, it goes from plus 600 to plus 800. I'm liking this one this week.
Yes, sir. Nothing better than a long shot parlay that's also boosted on the ESPN.
Parker's parlay 4 weeks in a row, a little chalky, but if it gets there and we don't have to worry about a method of victory, I'm not going to complain when I'm seeing you guys at the pay window. Mick Parkin, Sam Patterson, Meatball Molly McCann, and Tom Aspinall inside the distance at plus 160. I want my 5th parlay in a row. Let's go.
All right, so you got your long shot parlay, you got your Parker's parlay, and now we move on to the Ian's best bets from over there in Manchester, England. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I apologize. This last category doesn't rhyme with my last name. We'll do better. But let's go Arnold Allen. Minus 225 as high as I would go. If you don't want to do that, I don't mind the double method of victory with him. Wood Pineda over 1.5 rounds. Durability both. Wood is a very patient fighter. I think this goes into late second, early third. Rodriguez Duncan over 1.5. Preston Parsons again over Oban Elliott. Elliott is tough. Parsons, better wrestler, better scrambler. And we saw Oban struggle a little bit in his last fight in that category. Bukakis Prakio over 2.5. And last but not least, Shauna Bannon against minus 175 against her opponent. Her opponent has fought literally nobody, taking this on short notice. Shauna Bannon to get the win. Let's go.
It is an interesting card, man. I mean, you've had a lot of bad blood all of a sudden surface between Leon Edwards and Belal Muhammad. You got Tom Aspinall trying to defend an interim championship, which in and of itself sounds a little bit weird. We'll see if he ends up fighting the winner of John Jones and Stipe Miocic someday. And then you got maybe the fight I'm the most intrigued by, King Green taking on Paddy Pimblett. Should be a fun night there in Manchester, and hopefully we just made you a little smarter, put a little bit more money in your pockets. Thank you so much for watching UFC Best Bets for Ian and myself. Enjoy the fights this weekend. You can find them at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific on ESPN+. And then, as always, keep tuning in to UFC Best Bets because we have been on a bit of a roll here this summer. Ian, I know you're going to keep it going, starting with UFC 304.